rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back after our break, our Christmas holiday break. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas. I know I did. We had friends over, family over, had dogs over. Yeah, just it was a fun time, for sure, to be had by all. Enjoyed the company. And then, of course, for Christmas Day, we just took it real slow, nice and easy, you know, nothing really all that major. It was actually quite relaxing for all of us, as far as that goes. And so, yeah, hope everybody had a decent enough holiday because, you know, we got to remember that, of course, the reason for the season is the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's birth. Well, at least for all of us who are Christians, anyway. And, you know, so we got to remember that. We got to remember that when we're sitting there and getting the gifts that we get and so on and so forth. But, hey, I love seeing all of the Whiskey Warrior P1s back in the chat over on Rumble. If you haven't done it yet, you really should. You should head on over to Rumble, get yourself an account. It is free, and once you are signed up and signed in, search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. But I'm seeing all kinds of people back in the chat, so welcome. Thank you for coming back. Oh, my gosh. My heart is filled with joy because of all of you. I sent several of you, you know, as many as I could. I sent several of them happy, you know, Merry Christmas greetings through pretty much through every place that I could. But anyway, so there we go. So we've got, you know, it's been a little while since I've done a roll call, so let's go ahead and do that. I've seen 3 Chevy. I've got Amy, G, Bonnie, Becky, U.S. Abby Girl, Nana. I see Nana. I think I saw Coco in there. Yep, Coco, the insert name here, is there as well. All over the place. And my news also popped in. So that's pretty fantastic. Thank you all for, I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. Christmas holiday, but we're back in the flesh, in the saddle again, and we'll see what we can come up with for tonight. All right, let's go ahead and get on to tonight. Wait. Oh, I almost committed a foul here. Not that I haven't committed fouls on this program, but I definitely almost committed a foul here because I did not change the pledge over. See, every time I go on a break, I always screw something up, and that I'm hoping that's going to be my only screw up for this show. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and welcome for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have U.S. Abby Girl is up on deck, and so we will go ahead and release the mic over to her in just a moment. But first, if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with U.S. Abby Girl as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, U.S. Abby Girl. U.S. Abby Girl, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email address. Attach it to an email and send it to the email address. My God, I always mess that up. See? I'm not done yet. Attach it to an email. Send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will, of course, get you into the rotation. You know, it'd be nice to end the year with 21. So if you haven't done it yet, I would appreciate it if you would get that in. If you do it on your phone, you can share it. I've been told by a very heavenly host that you can share it and share it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right. Next week is the coming of the new year. Still haven't quite decided yet what I'm going to do, if I'm even going to do a New Year's Eve special. I should. I got to talk it over with the missus to make sure that we don't have anything else really going on. And get permission, of course, from her. So we'll see what we can do here. Anyway, so all of that being said, that's what's coming up over the next week. So we've got tomorrow night, and then we'll start Monday, Tuesday, probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday. I don't know. Wednesday and Thursday are going to be iffy. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. As much as it can be regularly scheduled here on this show. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit our headline sponsor. I am wearing one of their fantastic shirts tonight. This is one of my favorites. Not my favorite. I'm not the favorite, but one of my favorites. It's the We the People Liberty Bell. You can see the Liberty Bell right here on my shoulder. Right here on my shoulder here. You can see it. I'm kind of tapping it if you're no, it's right there. Anyway, Liberty Bell, We the People shirt. And, of course, you go and get that from, see, I told you I was going to screw this up. I already screwed it up again. I got to get their thing up here. There we go. And boom. Theflagshirt.com. That's right. Theflagshirt.com is where you can go and get these wonderful, fabulous shirts. This one is the men's cotton polo. You can check out all of their men's, women's, kids, made in the USA, all the accessories that you can get in the fantastic red, white, and blue. And, of course, that is just fantastic. Of course, they're still talking about the holidays. Happy holidays from the Flag Shirt right there on the main page. But if you order $75 or more, of their product, they will provide you with free shipping. They do that all the time. It is fantastic free shipping if you order $75 or more. But I know that not everybody can do $75 or more. So I've given you a little extra special gift. Yeah, it's from American Perspective. All you need to do is head on over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online. And you will be presented with a coupon code that you can copy and paste into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get $5 off your order on American Perspective. That is flagshirt.americanperspective, all one word, .online, where you will be presented with that coupon code. You can copy and paste that code into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get $5 off your order, whatever it is. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized like me. Yes, come and get patriotized. Start the new year. Hey, you know what? Seriously, we got to check out. You know what? Let me go and take a look right first here. Oh, ho, 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 ho. They do. They're getting there. No, they don't have anything up yet, but soon they will have that America 250. Oh, wait, they do have the America's 250 anniversary collection. Oh. Take a look at some of these stuff. Wow. They've got America 250. Ooh, quarter millennial. Yeah, We the People 250th anniversary. Look at this. Look at this shirt. Oh my goodness. Boy, I may have to yeah. Take a look at that. It's got a great 250 logo. Here, let me see if I can bring this to. Yeah, take a look at that. 1776 to 2026. Oh, they're already selling out. Oh my gosh, they don't even have my size. Oh, so. Hopefully they're going to gear up a little bit more. But yeah, check that out. And then let's see what else do they have. Let's go back to the anniversary collection. Let's see what else they have. Oh, they've got some wonderful shirts that say 250 on them. They've got flags, 250, USA. Some of these things you ought to go and check out. Whoops, sorry. I had it all zoomed in. You ought to go and check out some of these by heading over to theflagshirt.com, and all you have to do is hit their America 250 right here. Just click that America 250. Oops. All right there. Where it is, America 250. You just click that button, and you'll be taken right to the page where they have all of their America 250 stuff. See, now I'm a 2X most of the time in their stuff, so let me just see what they got for the 2X stuff. Oh, this is all the stuff that's available for 2X. If you're not a 2X, you can maybe get some of these other things, but I may have to get, you know what? I may end up having to get one of these wonderful shirts. Oh my goodness. I may have to get something for it, for sure. Anyway, go and check it out. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right, we're good. I was wondering when they were going to get that up there, and it looks like they're starting to get it in place. So there you go. All right. Okay. So I don't know if anybody knows this, but the president, whoever the president is, always goes and takes calls from kids on Christmas Eve. And mostly because it's the kids on the NORAD Santa Tracker hotline is what they do. And, well, Trump had a few, let's just say, some humorous moments here with some of these kids. So I thought I'd bring them to you so you could go and take a look or take a listen to some of these. So, yeah, let's go ahead and listen to this first one.
Has a tracker on him.
Well, we track Santa all over the world. We want to make sure that Santa is being good. Santa's a very good person. We want to make sure that he's not infiltrated, that we're not infiltrating into our country a bad Santa. So we found out that Santa is good. Santa loves you. Santa loves Oklahoma like I do. You know, Oklahoma was very good to me in the election, so I love Oklahoma. Don't ever leave Oklahoma, okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Good. That's good. And
Eddie, you got a question?
go ahead, huh?
Well, that was one. That's one of them. He's trying to tell the kid that Santa was not illegal. Anyway, here, this one. Let's try this.
Not cool.
Not coal. No, you don't want. Well, coal is. You mean clean, beautiful coal. I had to do that. I'm sorry. Coal is clean and beautiful. Please remember that at all costs. But you don't want clean, beautiful coal, right?
No.
What would you like?
Barbie, girl doll.
Barbie. Okay. Well, you'll get that, I'm sure. What else? Anything?
Yeah, so the kid didn't want coal in their stocking, although Trump kind of disagreed with that. Just a little bit. And let's try one more where he wants a Kindle. So hang on. The kid wanted a Kindle.
You want what?
Kindle.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Well, you must be a high IQ person. We need more high IQ people in the country. Oh. We definitely need more high IQ. So.
Oh, he sounds like he wanted a gumball or a pinball machine, a gumball pinball machine, I guess. Anyway, here the child asks, just to make sure everybody can hear. The child asks, "Will Santa get mad if we don't leave him cookies?"
Will Santa ever get mad?
Will Santa ever get mad if we don't leave him out any cookies?
I think he won't get mad, but I think he'll be very disappointed. You know, he tends to be a little bit on the cherubic side. You know what cherubic means? A little on the heavy side. I think Santa would like some cookies. You'd like to leave some cookies for Santa, right?
Yes.
But you're not going to forget. You'll leave some. I would leave them. I think Santa has a serious appetite.
Yes.
Right? And it's so good to talk to you. Are you looking for something specific from Santa? What would you like to have as a present?
Are you waiting? I don't think they go for anything.
Right, that's nice, honey. Well, you just take care of yourself. North Carolina is a great place. It's a great place.
Yes.
And you're surrounded by great people and great parents, and say hello to them. Okay?
So, yeah, he won't be mad, but he'll be disappointed, Santa. Anyway, so here is a thing about, I guess, Melania was in on this conversation.
How are you doing, First Lady? Oh, look at you.
I'm waiting for a phone call.
Is this the greatest First Lady? People love our First Lady. Right, honey?
Yeah.
Look at her. How elegant is the First Lady? Look at you. I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Matt, anybody else? Are they calling? They do?
Yeah,
Okay.
this will be both your last call.
Okay, perfect.
Is that her last call?
Both of you.
Okay, good.
So it was apparently toward the end of the night that they did that. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting tradition, I guess, for doing that. Now, I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I would have necessarily thrown in all the political kind of jargon that Trump did, but hey, you know, I'm not the president right now. And I probably will never be. So there you go. But anyway, Trump had a couple of really funny moments. So anyway, so there you go. That was our president. Definitely different than the last president that went on. Well, speaking about that, the former president may not have ever been elected had Georgia actually followed the law. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's a lawsuit that is going on in Georgia right now, and a Superior Court judge has granted the state election board access to Fulton County's 2020 presidential ballots and documents. Now, you're kind of asking why. Why are they doing this? Well, apparently, they found 315,000 ballots. 315,000 ballots. And I'm emphasizing that because you've got to remember, Georgia only, Trump only lost Georgia by like just under 12,000 votes. And 315,000 ballots were reportedly not properly validated with signatures. That's right. They were not properly validated with signatures. Now, this makes it to where you have to ask yourself, okay, wait a minute. What the hell? I thought that 2020 was the most secure election ever. And remember the whole thing with Donald Trump and him, Donald Trump and the asking to find the ballots? Yeah. 315,000 ballots without proper signatures. The problem isn't that they were without proper signatures. The problem is that they did not have them signed for. They weren't properly signed. And they were counted. They were counted. So they were illegally counted, basically, is what has been found. And again, that's like well over the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, that happened in Georgia. You got to kind of question, what about other states? What other states might have that had been something happen? Again, it seems as though the conspiracy theorists on the right are starting to be proven once again that we are no longer conspiracy theorists. We are spoiler alerts. That's right. That's right. Not only that, but you also need to understand, too, that there were crates and crates of these ballots that went 100% for Joe Biden. 100%. Now, if you are a statistician, okay, and you're looking at things like probabilities, and this is something I discussed during the aftermath of the 2020 election. Generally speaking, if you have, let's say, 10 batches of ballots or 10 batches of an item, and the ratio among 9 of them is, say, a 60-40 split, just to make things nice and easy for you. The ratio typically would be, generally speaking, 60-40. It might be, again, like 63-37. It might be, say, almost up to maybe 65-25 or 35. That kind of thing. The probability of one of those packs going 100%, not even like as much as a 70-30 or say an 80-20, but 100% one way. The probability of that happening is extremely low. I mean, we're talking like so close to zero, you could almost call it zero in terms of statistical analysis and probability counts. You have 10 batches, 9 of them come up with an average range of somewhere around a 60-40 split of these countings. There is absolutely zero probability. Is it possible? Sure. But the probability of something like that happening, very, very low. And so the probability of it going 100% Joe Biden's way without having a single vote for Donald Trump, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm calling BS on that. And that's exactly what happened. And by the way, they also had these Biden votes that were coming in only had Biden checked. They didn't have any of the rest of the down ballot voting even filled out. They were just voting. It's almost as though these people were only voting for the president and not voting for anybody else or anything else that was going on in that state or in that county. See, and this is part of the reason why so many of us have been standing out here going, hey, something ain't right here. Now, again, do I really think that the effect in Georgia is going to necessarily carry out the rest of the country, like to other states, say Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Michigan or any of the swing states? No, not necessarily. Do I truly believe that there was a nationwide effort to prevent Donald Trump, meaning a coordinated effort from state to state to state to mess up ballots? No, the probability of that is fairly low. Do I think that the squashing of the Hunter Biden laptop story was the single most nationwide factor? Absolutely. Because nationwide, Trump lost by only 4%. And yet, what ended up happening is 4%. If 16% of the people that were polled afterwards said that if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop story and known that it was true, they would have switched their vote. And that's 16%. That's 4 times the amount of the difference. And that was a nationwide poll. So again, revisiting 2020, probably not going to happen. But these guys definitely are still looking into it. And they should, because they need to fix whatever happened in 2020. Does that mean that we can go back and relitigate 2020 and like turn it around and make Trump another, give Trump another term? No. Unfortunately, that is the one major area that our founding fathers and the framers of the Constitution sort of left to our own devices, which is unfortunate. But they believed in the power, the positive power of the human spirit. So anyway, Amy is looking for a woot woo. The closest I can give her is a... Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. I had the volume down. Amy is looking for a woot woo. All I can give her is a... There we go. Off the rails. Anyway. See? Told you I was going to mess things up. I'm not in my groove here. Okay? Not in my groove. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about something that has obviously plagued and been a part of the Trump 2.0, the past year of the Trump second term in office. And that happens to be all of those National Guard troops that he's been deploying everywhere. Well, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the ban that was issued for Illinois was basically going to be upheld. Now, keep in mind, that is a temporary ban. It is a stay that was put in place by the Illinois courts system to keep Trump from deploying the National Guard. And here's part of the problem. SCOTUS said two things, which the left is, of course, just freaking out about this. Okay? Just freaking, well, not by freaking out in a bad way. They're freaking out in the fact that, yay, we finally won. They didn't win anything. Okay? This is a temporary pause or a temporary hold that affirmed the lower court's order. That's it. And it's just for Illinois. Has nothing to do with any of the others. It also is just until the entire Supreme Court can get involved. And in fact, it was a 6-3 decision with Alito, Thomas, and I'm trying to remember who the third one was. I think it was maybe Gorsuch, because I know Kavanaugh didn't. But Justice Alito is like, yeah, you guys, this probably isn't the best decision here for this. And I'll explain that in just a moment. But first, let me tell you about this wonderful, wonderful elixir that I drink every morning. It's called coffee. I love coffee. I love my coffee. I've got a 16-ounce mug that says "Father like no other" on it from my kids. It is a fantastic coffee. I love the coffee. Okay. And so anyway, if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. There's a limited number of units available. Within each unit, you're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard. You're getting the smooth medium roast. You'll also be able to try the Vitality Mushroom Coffee that has clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All of these coffees are single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you'll also be receiving as a part of the kit a gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother that is strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. Like you really need any help with that. And you'll also be receiving a black 1775 tumbler. It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and are wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com/studio. For those of you that don't know, that / is your question mark key on your keyboard. 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they are gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit today. My Whiskey Warrior Rumblers over here talking about some alcohol. And somebody was saying that they want to put in peppermint schnapps. Well, peppermint schnapps, I'm going to tell you, Rumpelmans is another one. That would also work quite well. Quite well. So, yeah. Let's just say I've imbibed with a little hot chocolate and Rumpelmints over the last couple of days. Yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, and this was, by the way, right before the Christmas break that this happened, the Supreme Court refused to stay a lower court order that was blocking the Trump administration from deploying National Guard troops in Illinois. Now, Alito came back and was like, the majority didn't give enough deference to Trump after the president found that agitators were hindering immigration officers and other federal personnel from doing their jobs in Chicago, and that the National Guard needed to step in to help. He wrote in his dissenting opinion, whatever one may think about the current administration's enforcement of the immigration laws or the way ICE has conducted its operations, the protection of federal officers from potentially lethal attacks should not be thwarted. Now, he continued in his dissent, and he says, under the court's interpretation, National Guard members could arrest and process aliens who are subject to deportation, but they would lack statutory authorization to perform purely protective functions. And he goes, our country has traditionally been wary of using soldiers as domestic police, but it has been comfortable with their use for purely protective purposes. He says the court's interpretation of Title 10 U.S. Code 12406 assumes that Congress meant for that provision to actually turn the approach on its head. Now, what is he talking about? He's talking about this guy right here, which basically states, National Guard in federal service whenever. And number 3 in particular is the part that is in that place. And let me go ahead and I'll show you if you guys, here we go. So number 3 in particular is the one that we're after, which states the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Now, what's interesting about this is that the Supreme Court, the 6 that voted the one way, are now saying that this, because of the way that this is written, saying that the National Guard can be called up for federal service when the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Now, notice how that is written. Basically, what that is saying is that the National Guard, and this is what SCOTUS is suggesting, that the National Guard can't get called up until regular forces are used. That's kind of interesting, considering the National Guard is actually in a much better position to respond faster to a local event than the regular army, because not every single state has an army base within it. That the National Guard is scattered everywhere and generally is a lot closer than a regular army post might be. Well, it's kind of interesting that that thought process crossed their plate. Because, as always, the left is like, yay, he can't use the National Guard, except there's only one problem. Notice what it says. Unable with regular forces. Oh, does this open up the door? Does this open up the door to allow the regular forces, meaning the regular Army, the regular Navy, the regular Marines, the regular Air Force, to be called in? Well, there's at least one law professor or law expert who is basically saying, yeah, that's exactly what it is saying. So John Yoo, or, well, I'm going to say Yoo, it's Y-O-O, he discussed the implications of the Supreme Court ruling on the use of National Guard, saying that that actually changes how a president may enforce federal law using military resources. Now, here's the key point, okay? The key point is in Title 10, U.S. Code 252, which states the use of militia and armed forces to enforce federal authority. And this is part of the Insurrection Act of 1807. So this is whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages, or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impractical to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, he may call into federal service such of the militia of any state and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws or suppress the rebellion. There you go. So the president has, under the Insurrection Act's authority, again, in particular, this is Title 10, U.S. Code, Section 252. The president can use federal forces in order to enforce federal law. Okay? So now what is happening here is that 6 of these justices are basically saying, well, yeah, you know, your federalization of the National Guard may not have been the way to go. And in fact, there's even some suggestion that the next challenge will be if the president goes, you know what? I'm going to send in the Marines now. I'm going to send in the Marines to all these blue cities. And somebody even cautioned J.B. Pritzker and said, hey, dude, you should probably not celebrate this just yet because SCOTUS left a loophole open for the president, and it's not a very good loophole, at least from the standpoint of who he ends up using. So John Woo, or whatever his name, John Yoo, Y-O-O, he discussed this, and he's like, at first, initially, he said, look, I'm trying to enforce the laws with ICE agents and the federal law enforcement, and I can't do it, so I need to call the National Guard. But the statute says the president has to be unable to enforce the law with regular forces. Okay. That's the 10, section 12406. And he goes, but that same ruling could lead to the use of active duty military units. He says, quote, the unintended consequence here might be that the president is going to have to call the 82nd Airborne or the Marines or the 101st Airborne Division as an example. President Eisenhower already did this. He did after the Brown versus Board of Education problem in the South to enforce desegregation. Now, there's those of us who have a little bit longer memories and are students of history that clearly remember when this was done. So, yeah. I don't think that this is going to go the way that the leftists think. President Trump was actually I think he was attempting to soften the blow somewhat in terms of who to send in. And so, yeah, this is going to be interesting. So, J.B. Pritzker, of course, was saying right after the thing came out, and again, keep in mind, this is just a temporary thing. They're not ruling on the constitutionality. They haven't ruled on the constitutionality of this. They just basically said, well, we're not going to stop that order. Okay. Anyway, Governor Pritzker, Governor Donut. Anyway, he says, is saying today that it's a big win for Illinois and American democracy, except that this response was political. Purely political. And he's like, yeah, I don't think there's this isn't the win that they think that it's going to be. This isn't going to be the win that they think it's going to be. Because what he's basically saying, what you is basically saying is that the second, and I think more worrisome, is that the Supreme Court is essentially inviting President Trump to send regular armed troops and deploy those to Chicago and Los Angeles before he can send in the National Guard. Yeah. So there you go. If you take a specific reading of those two laws, the one does say that he has to be able to do it or try in regular ways first before calling in the National Guard. And the other one basically says that he can call in pretty much anybody that he wants, whether it's state militia or regular troops, whatever he's looking for. So, this is going to be a very interesting one. And because it went 6-3, because, Justice Alito is pretty much just saying that, here in his conclusion of his dissent, he's like, the court should have decided this application based on the arguments the parties chose to present, and on that basis should have granted a stay. This is, again, his dissent to SCOTUS saying that we're not going to stay the original order. He goes, injecting another issue into the matter was unwise, and suggesting views on a host of important questions without adequate briefing, consideration, or explanation is imprudent. Whatever one may think about the current administration's enforcement of the immigration laws or the way that ICE has conducted its operations, the protection of federal officers from potentially lethal attacks should not be thwarted. So, yeah. So basically, again, just to make sure everybody understands, the majority ruling, they basically said in an unsigned order that regular forces meant the U.S. military, not ICE or other civilian law enforcement officers, and that according to that order, because he has not tried with regular forces, that's why he can't pull in the National Guard. Yeah. Oh, whoa, the basket weaving that's going on here. Yeah. I don't agree with any of that, but I'm with Alito. I'm honestly with Alito. Alito's like, you know what? This is crazy. So, now Gorsuch wrote his own dissent on the whole thing. Clarence Thomas was joined to Alito in terms of that. But, yeah, anyway. So, this is going to be interesting. Anyway, there's a lot more to it. I highly recommend that you go and take a look in it. But this was a ridiculous decision in terms of the actual dissent, in terms of the actual ruling. Because they're basically, what I see happening here is John Roberts is basically saying, yeah, I want to punt this down the road, and I don't want to get involved in it right now. So, yeah, we're gonna, yeah. So, anyway, so there we go. Okay. So there we go. All right. Next thing up, I do want to talk about, which is basically the Trump effect. And by that, in particular, I want to point directly to the murder rate in America. It's kind of interesting that we had murder rates under Joe Biden, and Joe Biden kept saying, oh, yeah, we can't really do anything about it, and so on and so forth. And they, of course, the law enforcement agencies like D.C. were like bending over backwards, modifying the reports, trying to change the classifications of law or of the criminal behavior in order to try and keep keep the crime stats from looking bad under Biden. Well, guess what? According to the Real-Time Crime Index, the United States is on track for what is recorded as the biggest single-year decline in murders ever recorded. So, yeah. Anyway, the percentage change in the select types of crime. Motor vehicle theft, down 23.2%. Murder, down 19.8%. Robbery, down 18.3%. Burglary, down 14.8%. Property crime, down 12.3%. This is comparing January through October from 2024 and 2025 across 570 U.S. law enforcement agencies. Violent crime, down 10.2%. Theft, down 8.9%. And these are dropping from when Joe Biden, this is for the last month of Joe Biden's presidency up until now. So, yeah. Yep. So, this is interesting. The murders, according to the Real-Time Crime Index, show that numbers are down, or murders themselves are down nearly 20% in comparison to the same period in 2024. I wonder why. I wonder why. Yeah, cities harmed by gun violence have begun to see a steady decline in murders. Albuquerque, which ranks among the top 10 nationally for per capita murder rate, experienced a 32.3% decrease in fatalities. Baltimore, which is another city on the list, saw a 30.9% drop in murders from 2024 to 2025. Atlanta itself saw a 26.2% decrease in murder, while Birmingham, Alabama, recorded the highest drop at 49%. Yeah. So, I wonder why. I wonder why. Oh, yeah. Trump and the FBI and all of the things that they've been doing in his clear, tough against crime stances have definitely helped for all of this. So there you go. Also, something else that has had a Trump effect. You remember all those retirement accounts that had all kinds of problems during the Biden administration? 4 bruising years, which inflation, declining bond markets, all of these things. Well, apparently the retirement accounts have made a big comeback in just 2025 by itself, regaining much of what was lost. The average 401k balance jumped about $23,200, or 16.9% from the first quarter through the third quarter of 2025. This is according to a new study by E.J. Antony, a senior fellow at the conservative Unleash Prosperity think tank. After adjusting for inflation, that gain still came to roughly $20,700, or $20,700, I should say, or 15.1%. Yeah. So the rebound followed a painful stretch from first quarter of 2021 through the first quarter of 2025, where the average 401k barely rose in nominal terms and actually fell sharply after inflation, the study found. What changed this year was the big slowdown in inflation and a real turnaround in the bond markets, which, of course, the bond markets were responding to not only the big slowdown in inflation, but also a lot of the money topics and things like that Trump ran on. So, yeah, there you go. So, Antony credited Trump's policies for the turnaround, saying the total reversal as the Trump administration unleashed Doge, reduced government spending, therefore borrowing. As they engage in tax and regulatory reform, they're promoting pro-energy policies. Yeah. You think that might have had an effect? Of course. Of course. Now, under President Joe Biden, the cumulative inflation ran 21.2% over the 4 years, eroding purchasing power and forcing the Federal Reserve into its fastest rate hiking cycle in decades. Those rate increases crushed bonds, a core holding in retirement portfolios, delivering what economists described as the worst 4-year run for average bond returns in a century. This is all things that were under Joe Biden. Well, it continues because U.S. economic growth has strongly outpaced other nations despite the tariffs. Yes, the tariffs did not come into effect as what a lot of people thought they were going to. So, signs are pointing to a more hopeful future. So in the third quarter of 2025, the U.S. economy grew by more than 4%, while other nations, frequently citing for their objections or renegotiations or negotiations over tariffs, did not even do half as well of that. Tariffs aren't hurting Americans; they're helping Americans. Our GDP is at 4%. That's good. It needs to go higher, but it's good. Yeah. And by the way, if you happen to live in a Republican state, the news is even better because state leaders have assisted the Trump administration in building up the economy instead of sabotaging that growth with the woke and socialist policies. There was a comparison. I don't know if anybody saw this, but there was a comparison between blue states and red states, and it's showing that red states are actually even doing better than the blue states across the country. Now, that GDP growth, by the way, is a whopping 79% since the fourth quarter of 2024, which was the final full quarter of the Biden administration. That GDP growth increased, and again, 79%. Now, the most recent government estimates point to strong quarterly expansion, with Biden ending his term with an anemic GDP growth rate of just 2.4%. We're almost 100% higher, 79% higher in GDP growth. And that was the annualized rate of 4.3% in the third quarter of 2025, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analyses. Now, all of this, of course, is pointed directly to the fact that Trump has been in office for not quite a year yet, and he's been doing a fantastic job. So all of these things that he's been doing are not becoming a problem. They're not having issues. And by the way, the U.S. stock market, the Dow and the S&P 500, they both closed at record highs on Wednesday. They closed higher on Wednesday, with each of the major indexes recording their fifth straight session of gains, as the Dow Industrials and S&P 500 registered closing record highs in a broad rally during the holiday-shortened sessions. Indexes have been climbing in recent days, buoyed in part by a rebound in AI-related names after last week's sell-off that was triggered by concerns about inflation valuations, or inflated valuations, I should say, and high capital expenditures denting profits. But recent data showed the economy remains resilient and that the market is still pricing in roughly 50 basis points of rate cuts from the Federal Reserve's next year. Although the expectations for a rate cut in January are low, data on Wednesday showed new applications for U.S. jobless benefits fell unexpectedly last week. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. So there's all kinds of indicators that our economy is actually on the precipice and ready to come roaring back. Once we get rid of some more government regulations and some things get out of the way, we very well could be looking at a prosperous, hopefully a prosperous 2026. Well, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget, on your way out, to hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or if you're 3 Chevy, the thumb sideways across all of my platforms, whether it's X, Facebook, YouTube, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, which is Saturday, so it's 1 hour later, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.